So let's continue. We have the product rule. It states that the derivative of the product of two differentiable functions is equal to the first function times the derivative of the second function plus the second times derivative of the first. Ay medyo ano no, relative definition, but in symbol that is derivative of d over dx. Derivative of the product of two functions f of x and g of x is defined as the first function or the first factor times the derivative of the second factor plus the second factor times the derivative of the first factor. Now, if you are confused to this, no, since maraming letters, let's try to simplify this one. So let's assume that this is our v. Okay, f of x is our v. Then our g of x, let's say is u. So meaning to say x is v, right? And then times derivative of x, we can just use u prime or derivative of u. Right? We can use u prime or derivative of u. Or let me just use du. That is v du. V du. That is f of x times g prime of x, no? Plus. So we have the second factor is u times the derivative of the first factor, that is derivative of v. So in dealing with the derivative of the product of two functions, just remember this: v du plus u dv, where v is the first factor and u is the second factor. Okay? So later on, let's have examples for that. Number 6. 6 rule, we have the quotient rule. The derivative of the quotient of two differentiable functions is equal to the denominator times the derivative of numerator minus numerator times the derivative of denominator divided by the square of the denominator. So in symbol, that is derivative of the quotient between two functions f of x and g of x is equal to, this is our denominator, no, times the derivative of numerator minus the numerator times the derivative of the denominator over the denominator square. Again, let's try to use the v and u to simplify this formula. So assuming na so let's say our f is v and our g of x is u, v over u, so that the derivative is defined as our g is u squared v du minus u vd, u dv pala, u dv minus v du over u squared, u dv minus v du over u squared. And then lastly, the chain rule. If f and g are differentiable functions of g of x and x respectively, then function f circle g is differentiable at x And the derivative of the composition of f with g is defined as f prime of g of x times the g prime of x. Okay? F prime of g of x times g prime of x. Let's have an example. Let's have examples for each. So this is your basic rules. Basic rules. Derivative of the constant is constant. I mean, it's not a constant. It's actually zero. Okay. Baka mapagbaliktad yun, no? Yung limit of a constant and derivative of constant. Limit of the constant is the constant. Derivative of constant is zero. Baka mapagbaliktad yung mga rules natin. In example letter B, we have y is equal to 10 over x cubed. Now, if in case the given is a fractional expression or a rational expression, don't assume na you'll be using the quotient rule right away. Okay, just observe muna natin yung given. Then, if you can rewrite the given functions into something else, then evaluate the derivative using the basic rules, then do so. For example, we have 10 over x cubed. Actually, this can be written as y is equal to 10 x raised to negative 3 by loss of exponent. So, ayun. We have the form 10x raised to negative. We have the form cx raised to n. A constant multiple rule and the power rule. That is negative 3 times 10 is negative 30. Negative 3 times 10 is negative 30, and we'll subtract 1 from our exponent. So negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. Okay, negative. Combine. That's negative 4, and then applying again the loss of exponent, since negative yon, we can rewrite that as negative 30 over x raised to 4. Okay. And what else? Aside from the loss of exponent, we can also write radical expressions or radical terms into exponential term, right? Radical term in exponential term. Like for example, we have 2 square root of x here, can also be written as 2x raised to 1 half. Okay, 2x raised to 1 half, where 1 is the exponent of the radicand x. Okay, radicand x, exponent niya is 1. And 2 here is the index of the radical. This is square. 2 there. So yeah. And then go over with the basic rule. Power rule, the constant multiple rule, and the constant is exponent 1 half times 2. You can just simply say to this 1 half times 2, or ano kalahati ng dalawa, isa. Yeah, 1 half times 2 is 1. And then we'll subtract we'll subtract 1 from 1 half. That will give us negative 1 half. 1 half minus 1 is negative 1 half. X raised to negative 1 half. And then next, this is 3 times 3 is 9. And then 3 minus 1 is 9. And derivative of a constant is 0. We have, okay, applying the properties of radical at the same time, since this is negative, we'll also apply the loss of exponent. So this is 1 over square root of x plus 9x squared. And then I told you last time na We can't have a solution with radicals in denominators. Okay, radical expression or radical terms in denominators. So we need to rationalize this. We have to multiply our numerator and denominator. So we have now the final answer. Final answer is square root of x over x. Okay, square root of x times square root of x is x by properties of radical plus 9x. Letter D. Well, the given y is equal to 4x squared, 4x plus 3x squared times x cubed minus 9. Let's just solve this on our own. So again, let's assume that this is our v. And this is our u. Our first factor is v and our second factor is u. So that the derivative time is again v du plus u dv. V derivative of u plus u derivative of v. Following that rule, we have copy natin sa v, x plus 3x squared. And then derivative of u. Okay, derivative of u, we have by power rule, we have 3x squared. Derivative of 9 is 0 plus. Let's copy the second factor. We have u x cubed minus 9. And then differentiate the first factor. We have 4 plus 6x. It. Simplify na lang natin. Simplify this. By distributive property, we have 12x 9x to the fourth. And this is FOIL method. First terms, 4x cubed. Outer terms, 6x to the fourth. Inner terms, we have 36. And then the last terms. 9 times 6 is 50. Arrange in descending power of x. 9 meron bang isang fourth? Should be 15. 15 to the fourth. How about the cube? We have two similar terms. We have 16. Cube. Then we don't have square, but we have 54x. Ayan. I think that's it. Did I miss some term? No. Ayan. 10x to the fourth plus 16x cubed minus 54x minus 36. So that is the derivative. Any question kay product rule?
Wala naman po.
Okay. Now, if you're not comfortable with this rule, you can just, multiply this two. Multiply nyo lang yung dalawang yan and then go over with the basic rules. Okay lang yun. You'll be arriving to the same solution later. The same solution na yung makukuha natin. But what if this is not binomial? Kasi trinomial to trinomial. So, magkakaroon tayo ng complication. or any other polynomials. So I suggest that you have to follow the product rule instead of expanding or instead of getting the product of your function. So let's proceed to the next. Ito pa yung solution natin sa module. The next report, which is the same. Okay, next. So this is the given y is equal to x plus 1 over x squared plus 3x. Same now. Let the numerator be v and the denominator be u. U over v. So that the derivative now is following the definition of quotient rule. Denominator, derivative of numerator minus numerator, derivative of denominator over denominator. Following that rule, y prime, derivative of y with respect to x is, let's copy the denominator. Our denominator is x squared plus 3x. Okay, and then differentiate the numerator. X plus 1, derivative of x is 1. And derivative of 1 is 0. Minus, copy the numerator, differentiate the denominator. This is x squared plus 3x. Derivative of x squared is 2x. Derivative of 3x is 3. Have the square of u. Yan, okay na. We can simplify. Ay natin na. Wala yung square coefficient. Square. By distributive property, and the number times 1 is the same number. So x squared plus 3x minus, I'll be enclosing first the product na. I'll be enclosing the product so that later we'll be distributing this sign to all the terms of the product. So this is 2x squared, first terms. We have outer terms, we have inner terms, and then the last terms. And here, it's okay na you won't be expanding this anymore. I'll be considering this already. Natin expand ito. Simplify na lang natin. Simplify our numerator. X squared plus 3x. Distribute the negative. We have negative 2x squared. This is negative 5x, right? 3x plus 2x is 5x, and then we have negative outside. Our denominator x. And similar terms. X squared minus 2x squared is negative x. You have 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. Now we have minus 2. Denominator Okay, so this is the final solution, or you can just factor out the negative sign. We write this. This is already considered, no? Pero if you want to factor out the negative sign, then we negative. Okay. And then, I think may mali dun sa solution. Hanapin natin kung saan siya nagkamali. Have here negative 2x minus 3. That should be y. Bakit natanggal yung negative x squared niya here? It's because from here, okay, this part. It's a product ng binomial natin, this part. The product of this two. So the first terms pa lang, no, x times 2x should be 2x squared. 2x squared, but it is not here. So nag-mess ng solution na dito. These are the right solutions na. Okay. Take note na lang daw. That is your quotient rule. Quotient rule. And then we have the chain rule. Chain rule. So chain rule we have. So let's say we have y is equal to quantity x to the fourth minus 7 raised to 9. By chain rule, you can right away, no? You can right away solve or identify the derivative. But if you're confused as to how we came up with this solution, let me share you how does this chain rule works. So from there, we'll use variable here. We'll let u be the base, x to the fourth minus 7. Let u is equal to x to the fourth minus 7. So that the derivative of u is 4x cubed. 4x cubed. So we can actually use that. We'll replace the variable from in our given function. So u raised to 9. U raised to 9. And by chain rule, we have derivative of u. Right? That is chain rule. Derivative of u is, let me show you. Derivative of u is our g prime of x here. G prime of x. Okay, and I use u as to replace our g of x. G of x here. Right? That is clear, no? G prime of x is actually the derivative of u in our equation. So, no, not yet pala. Not yet. Di wala tayo gumamit ng chain rule muna. Tayo gumamit ng chain rule. Dito pa lang, y prime pala muna. Y prime is equal to 9u raised to 8. 9u raised to 8 by power rule. Then we have b. Yeah. This is the g prime of x. And returning the original functions, we have 9. Our u again is x fourth minus 7 8 raised to 8, then multiplied by the derivative of u, which is 4x. Then we can simplify this. We have 9 times 4 is 36 x cubed. Then we have 4, 7, and that's it. This should be the final answer. In our example, stop na siya doon sa here. Okay. Shortcut na lang kasi ginamit dito. By power rule, 9 times the given factor, the given function, and then subtract 1 from 9, then multiply by the derivative of the base, right? The base function. X to the 4th. So yeah, yung change order. Any question?
None, sir.